What's your favorite black joke?
Wait, like, I think, wait, I might have missed this one. The first thing out of the neighbor's mouth is what's your favorite black joke?
Yeah, that's the first thing out of his mouth. I learned it from him, and I was copying it on you to see what would happen.
I think that might have been the first or like the second thing that you asked me is like what my favorite gay joke is, after I mentioned that I'm gay. And I felt horrible that I didn't have anything actually like substantial to proffer for it. The thing that is funny is like the thing that's true that we're not supposed to say. And
yes!
And like
yes!
you've been pointing that out, like over talking about, you know, what it means to you know, for something to be offensive and why that can be like a damaging topic because it like stifles discourse, and like I think comedy is like the medicine to that.
Everyone who wants to control other people's behavior and hates the other, every single one of them is anti-humor. And every person who is genuinely tolerant down to the deepest bones...
They love it.
Loves... Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's just flatly true.
Yeah, and so you can use that to tell who is genuinely tolerant, rather than who is suppressing speech in the name of tolerance. If I tell a joke about Taiwanese people, the first question you ask...
Are you Taiwanese?
Instead of asking, is it true? Now, isn't that messed up?
Yeah, it might be.
If I say I'm Taiwanese, then you go, oh, I must be allowed to say that.
Yeah,
and if I say I'm not Taiwanese...
You have no license to be speaking about that suddenly.
And in neither case does it matter whether the statement is true. But, if I am ambiguous about whether I'm Taiwanese, you can't use our tribal affiliations to judge the statement.
I'm now seeing why you responded so ambiguously to this statement, then. Because I'm actually noticing that in my mind, I can't quite decide whether or not I ought to be offended on behalf of like some other, you know, group.
You have to judge based on the veracity of my words.
Yeah.
Strange, isn't it? Isn't it weird to have to think about whether I'm saying is actually true?
Well, the fun thing as well is that like when so I'm gay, and when I am making like comments about like other gay people that people might find funny, like which honestly is you know, more to it might be pity laughter more than anything, but they feel the license to laugh and to participate in this because they know that the group being made fun of is the one perpetuating the joke. And so it must be okay because this person is okay with it. So I can engage, I can participate, I can laugh. But when that status is like uncertain, like I find myself, I'm like, oh man, like if I laugh, like that's like an endorsement of this position. Like am I going to get canceled because of that? Because God only knows whether he's actually Jewish. So that is kind of fun. It puts the whole thing on its head. I can sense in myself the thing that feels I ought to be offended on some other's behalf, even if that, you know, feeling is just that. It's just a feeling. It's not like I look at this thing and decide, well, you know, this is damaging, this is like somehow hurting someone, like would be the case if, you know, you're perhaps talking poorly about a friend who's not in the room and you're like, hey, you know, I like that guy, he's actually like a really stand-up guy, we shouldn't be talking about him like that. Like instead, you know, sometimes we're offended on behalf of people who we've never met, and for not even really an individual, but perhaps like a group or like an abstraction of a group. And so it's so far from base reality. And I guess what I'm saying is that I like to be, I think, charitable towards the people who are being like offended on another's behalf, because I think it comes from a place of goodness sometimes, and it's, you know, it's just easy to do.
Thinking badly isn't because we are bad people. It's just, this is a skill.
Yeah, and it's one that is easy to get wrong.
Going back to the story, my friend sits down on my couch and he says, what's your favorite black joke? I've told this story to a number of white people. And by white, I mean non-black. And the first question
is like, what's the joke? I feel so
No,
badly
what?
because I didn't even, like, the whole thing just like whooshed over my head. I was waiting for like an additional punchline and it just didn't come.
Well, that's because they say the punchline, but you didn't say it.
No, I didn't. Like, maybe I'm just not particularly curious about like
No.
about black jokes.
Okay. So, here's what happens when I tell this story with a non-black friend.
Yeah.
My neighbor comes over, he sits down on my couch, and he says, "What's your favorite black joke?" And every single one of them has the exact same response.
Which is?
They ask me, "Was the guy black?" And you didn't.
that actually, it's, yeah, that actually never even entered my mind.